hours early Friday, but improving to greater than 6 miles on Friday morning.
Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper that sycamore tree. Dream a little dreamer. Night breezes seem to whisper that you. Dream a little dream. Now, darling, but I love you. Still craving your kiss. Dream a little dreamer. Night breezes seem to whisper that you.
Hi everyone! So today we will be talking about defining relative clauses, non-defining relative clauses, and participle clauses. Before we start, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Anastasia.
My name is Luan.
My name is Nathan.
Let's get started! For defining relative clauses, basically it highlights information about someone or something so the reader can understand who is actually being referred to in the sentence. Now, the key is, where do I know where to put the relative pronoun? You should know to put it after the noun. Now, here are a few of the relative pronouns used. Who, that, which, whose, and whom. Though that might be quite uncommon because it is normally used in daily speaking. Okay, so here are a few examples. They're the people who want to rent our apartment. Who? Who is the relative pronoun? Who are we talking about? The people who want to rent our apartment. Here are some countries which have been visited by Mr. Adam. Which? What is which talking about? Some countries. Now which is used for noun, remember that. They should give the cure to somebody who they think needs them the most. Who? Who here, we are talking about the people who actually need the cure. Next, for relative clause, in relative clauses we use relative pronouns to further explain and concise sentences. This way, what is supposed to be two sentences, we can concise it into one. Now here are the same relative pronouns as mentioned before, though we have classified them into subject, object, and possessive. Who, whom, and whose, along with which. Who and whom are used for people, which are used for things, that for people and things, whose are used for belonging. Now, for who. Mariah is a woman, sentence 1. Mariah owns a bakery, sentence 2. We can concise this into one sentence using the relative pronoun. Mariah is a woman who owns a bakery. The sentence indicates the same meaning as what two sentences would compromise, but they're just much more concise and easier to read. So this way, we can let people know the information easier. Next, whom. Now, whom is specifically used when there is a subject following. So, Harry Styles is a man. Harry Styles is the man I adore. Harry Styles is the man whom I adore. So after whom, it is followed with a subject, I, hence why we cannot use who. For which or that. This is a house. Nathan built this house. This is a house which Nathan built. Now you can actually also replace which with that, but again, it is usually used in daily English speaking, so it's not really relevant for writing. When and where. 1. We got married in 1996. 2. The England World Cup happened in 1996. So the sentence can be, we got married when the England World Cup happened in 1996. So when and where introduces clauses that describe a noun that refers to a time, or place. Now the time here, it is 1996, specifically when the England World Cup happened. For where? Number 1, Porbandar is the town. Number 2, Gandhi was born in Porbandar. Porbandar is the town where Gandhi was born in. This indicates where Gandhi was born in. Porbandar. For whose? Whose is used for belongings. So number 1, Angie is a child. Number 2, Angie's mother is Melissa. Angie is a child whose mother is Melissa. So who is Melissa? Angie's mother.
For non-defining relative clauses, it gives us extra information about someone or something. It isn't essential for understanding who or what we are talking about. There are the same relative pronouns with defining relative clauses: who, that, which, whose, and whom. The examples are: my grandfather, who is 87, goes swimming every day. Next, the house, which was built in 1883, has just been opened to the public. The third one is: the award was given to Sarah, whose short story impressed by the judges. We always use relative pronoun to start a clause, a relative clause, with who, which, whose, when, or where. But we can't use that because that is used in daily speeches. The key is we use comma to separate the clauses from the rest of the sentence. Who, which, and whose. We can use who to talk about people, which for things, whose for person or thing that something belongs to. Yesterday, I met my boss, who was very nice. Who was very nice is for my boss, not for me. Yes. Then the next one is: the house, which is very big, is also very cold. Which is very big explains the house. It begins with two sentences: the house, which is very big, and the house is very cold. To concise the sentence becomes: the house, which is very big, is also very cold. The third one is: my next door neighbor, whose children go to school with ours, has just bought a new car. Next, for when and where. We can use which with a preposition to talk about places and times. City Park, which we used to go to, has been closed down. Or City Park, where we used to go, has been closed down. We can use both of them. Another example is December, which Christmas was celebrated in, is a summer month for the southern hemisphere. Or December, when Christmas is celebrated, is a summer month for the southern hemisphere.
Participle clauses are non-finite clauses. They use a present participle or past participle to shorten a main clause. Participle clauses are common in written English because they allow us to include information without making long or complicated sentences. Participle clauses are common in written language, so we can use them to shorten active and passive sentences. Active sentence. So we can use the present participle or the ing form to show that two actions are taking place at the same time. For example, having washed her hair, Susan reached for the hair dryer and scissors. So we can say that after Susan had washed her hair, she reached for the hair dryer and scissors. So we can use the perfect participle to indicate that the action in the participle clause took place before the action in the main clause. Another example is, holding the hair dryer in her left hand, Susan cut her hair with the scissors in her right hand. We can also say that Susan was holding the hair dryer in her left hand and cutting her hair with the scissors in her right hand. Passive sentence. We use the past participle to shorten a passive clause. For example, blown to the right by the hair dryer, her hair could easily be cut. We can also say that her hair was blown to the right by the hair dryer and could easily be cut. Our example is, having been cut, her hair looked strange. We can say that after her hair had been cut, it looked strange. So in conclusion, we use the perfect participle, having been plus past participle, to stress that the action in the participle clause took place before the action in the main clause. However, this form is rarely used. Forming participle clause. There is no subject in the participle clause. The subject of the main clause is also the subject of the participle clause. For example, having washed her hair, Susan reached for the hair dryer and scissors. The main verb is changed into a participle. We have to pay attention to whether the action in the participle clause takes place at the same time as the action in the main clause or before it, and whether we are using the active or the passive voice. In a negative participle clause, we put not before the participle. Not having any money, Susan decided to cut her hair herself. So in conclusion, we can see that forming participle clause has two active and one passive sentence. In the act table, we can see that there are two different actions, which are simultaneous action and sequential action. For the simultaneous action, we use present participle or the aim form. So for example, holding the hair dryer in her left hand, she cut her hair. For the sequential action, we use perfect participle or having plus third verb form. For example, having washed her hair, she cut it. For the passive sentence, it is a simultaneous and a sequential action. So we use past participle or the third verb form. For example, blown by a hair dryer, her hair could easily be cut. Forming participle clause. The conjunctions as because and since, as well as the relative pronouns who and which, are not used in the participle clause, but the conjunctions before and when are used in the participle clause. The conjunctions after and while can either be used or not. So thank you guys. After this, let's head to the exercise.
Now here are a few exercises for you to fill out. Here are exercises for non-defining relative clauses. You can pause the video and try to fill in yourself. And here are examples for defining or just normal relative clauses. And again, you can pause and try to fill the blanks yourself. Now here are exercises for participle clauses. Make sure to try and fill it yourself and see how well you understood the presentation. Alright, that's it. That's a wrap.
If you find the one, you should never give her up.